Hey guys, James Jamison, DIY. I've got this new little tool here. This is the Launch. It's the 129E, the CRP, which is just the C-Reader professional version. So the CRP129E. I've been using this for a few weeks at work. And here I am there on the weekend. We're in self-quarantine. I've got my quarantine pants on. So I figured this would be a good opportunity to kind of show a few little things on this tool. It's got a lot of little features packed in it for such a small unit. You kind of see it's about the size of the airbag here. Let's get some light. I can't see anything. Oh, can't see anything. Let's go ahead and start it up. So we get some light in here. That's a little bit better. Alright, so sitting in quarantine, looking for things to do. So we're gonna mess with this. What are you guys doing in quarantine? Messing with your car projects is probably something good to do. Get off the internet, give the internet a break so it doesn't break, and tackle some of those projects you've been putting off. It's also a good opportunity to talk to your neighbors and see if they need any help with their cars. Anyway, this tool is going to help out quite a bit around the house and around other people's houses, assuming that there's no one that is sick. Either way, let's plug it in and talk about some of the features here. It's not wireless, so we do have to mess with the OBD cord here. So it does have an auto ID. Alright. And touchscreen, obviously there are no buttons on this other than the kind of power lock button. And this one is quite a bit faster than some of the other cheaper and older launch tools. Immediately when you plug it in, it does the auto ID. It's running through all the systems here, if equipped. It doesn't. Not all of these systems are equipped on this car, so and it'll go into your health report. Now from here, we're just looking at the health report of all the systems that it can read. So the ECM, that's the main one for your check engine lights, TCM. The big things on this are going to be, or the most useful things for most people are going to be the ECM, the electronic brake control module, that's going to be for your ABS, and then as well as airbag, so inflatable restraint right there. So we'll be able to read all those codes. It's going to automatically save this report to the tool, but if you want to email it to your customer or to yourself, you can just hit share and it'll pop up with an email, and then you can send it from there. So you've got this little back button here, that's a constant, and then you also have this kind of floating back button that you can move around. Alright, let's get out of this for a minute. Let's just talk about all the basic stuff, and then we'll get into some of the things that it does. This is Wi-Fi capable, so you don't have to plug it into your PC to update it, which you should do as soon as you get the tool. You can just put in the Wi-Fi password and just hit upgrade. It automatically searches for updates and will download them and install them. So this one's up to date already, other than a few new ones here. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Obviously it's got the touch screen. It has a really bright screen, and it does charge automatically through the DLC connector. Although with the screen being so bright, it will eat the charge as fast as it can charge it. So if you turn off the screen like that, it will charge while it's plugged in. It does not using much battery power with the screen off. But I'm going to turn that back on, and this should keep it alive for quite a while we're just going through everything. If we go to the settings here, this is going to be basically like your standard Android settings. So you can set your time zones, your screen brightness, sounds, your Wi-Fi, all that good stuff. Just basic Android type stuff. So if we go in here to reset, this is going to be some of the quick links for the popular things. You've got your brake reset, if applicable, to the car. It's going to have different things. I think on this one it's something to do with the brake pressure sensor. You've got an oil life reset. So on certain cars that can be reset through OBD, you'll click there and you can reset your maintenance light. You've got a SAS, which is the steering angle sensor. So after certain parts replacements, like a clock spring inside your steering wheel, you'll need to reset the steering angle. So that's how you'll do that. Certain replacements like TPS and things like that, you'll need to do a throttle relearn. And then TPMS reset is not going to help us on this car, so we won't look at that. We can go here to battery voltage, and that's basically just the battery voltage of the car. You can see we're running at 14 volts, which is where it should be. And if we go down here to data, we can look at some of the reports that were saved. Any records that we've had saved will show up here. So they're the ones for this car. You can look up DTCs. You've got a frequently asked question, any saved images, anything like that. You can send feedback to Launch. Any feedback that you sent automatically, occasionally it will prompt you if it has an error to send feedback, and this will be the feedback. Kind of a generic DLC location thing there, so that's not very helpful. So that's all the basics. Let's go to diagnose, and you can kind of choose here on older cars that don't have auto ID capability. Since this one does, we'll just go back in, get the report, look at that, and look at some data. So here we can check each system, whichever one we're interested in. ECM is going to be just your basic check engine lights. We'll check that here. So we can read the fault codes, clear them, check out data stream, stuff like that. Let's go to the airbag. See, we have no airbag codes. Let's check the data stream. So once you see the thing like this, you can select all the data PIDs by hitting select all, or you can choose the ones you want. We're just going to hit select all, look at everything. So we'll just test it out, make sure it works, something easy. We've got a driver's seatbelt status is unbuckled, so I'm going to go ahead and buckle it up and see what happens. Alright, so you see that works fine. So as far as inexpensive scan tools go, the fact that we can read all this data on all these different systems is what makes this one quite a bit better than some of the less expensive tools that are only going to read data from the engine computer. So that doesn't help you on a lot of other things, you know. If you're looking for your electronic parking brake stuff, it's going to be here. Any system that the tool is capable of reading that the car has, it will read. This car does not have all of these systems. There's no electronic parking brake, so we won't be able to do anything with that. There's no control module for the power steering, I don't think, on this one. Everything else, though, I believe we could check for this one. But let's get out of that. And we're just going to look at the engine computer. We'll go here to system selection, just go back to the ECM, and we'll just look at engine data. So it still is pretty fast, a lot faster than some of the other ones, and even a lot faster than some of the more expensive ones in the amount of time it takes to load the data. So we're just going to go to, you can kind of see how it kind of separates into categories. So if we go to engine data, we can just pretty much look at everything, but it also separates it here into some categories. The problem with the way that it separates them, it doesn't do a very good job of deciding what should be with what. So honestly, the best thing is just to go to engine data. You can still go through and select each data PID that you want to look at. You can see on this one we have 73 different PIDs to look at, or you can just select all, and you can see how fast that will move to the next screen and show you all the data PIDs. See, we're already here. Have this set on imperial units. You can also change it to metric, I guess is the other one, if you're on that side of the pond, as they say. So this one thing I'm not crazy about, and I think that's what keeps the loading speed so quick, is it only will load a few at a time on a big screen like this. You can see that's 2 of 7, and then when you get to the bottom here, it'll go to the next screen, and you can see all what we have here. So that's how it'll cycle through the data. So I think that's why it's probably as fast as it is, because it's only loading a few PIDs at a time, which is fine because it's still fast regardless. But let's look here at, let's go to misfire data, and I'll just show you what I mean, how it organizes these things. So we're wanting to see misfire data, although what we have here, we've got air conditioner commands, which isn't really useful when we're wanting to look at misfire data. Some of these will be useful. We do have here the misfire counters. We can choose all those. Engine load might be useful. Oil pressure, probably not so much. Engine runtime, you know, not really. Some of these would be useful. These would be related. So you see what I mean, though? Some of this stuff is related, some of it's not. So remaining fuel in tank, you know, I don't see how that's useful to misfire data, but it's there. And the vehicle speed, maybe, depending on when the misfire occurs, that might be useful. But I'll just look at all of them. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what this tool does. It does quite a bit for the price range. The fact that it's touchscreen, it has Wi-Fi, you can save health reports, you can email health reports if you want to email them to your customer or just to yourself, save them on your PC. It's easier than having to get it on a memory card and transfer it and do all that stuff. So it packs quite a bit. The fact that it charges through the DLC, that helps out quite a bit, because you, depending on how you use it, you may not ever have to go out of your way to charge it. So that's pretty handy. The fact that it's Android makes it easy and familiar. and all the things that it does for the price point is quite a bit. I think that as far as what's out there at what price, I think this is a good price point for the average to slightly advanced DIYer or technician. And even for advanced technicians, this is a good second tool to have. We can even go in here into generic OBD. We can look at some of the mode 6 data. Mode 1, you can see if it's something that's not on the OEM side. We can come in here and look at misfire data. Let's go back here to this one. Yeah, so we can look at misfire data on the mode 6 side on generic OBD2. So that's helpful on some cars there. You see we've got a few others. And what I like too is that it actually separates it into data that you can read and without having to look up what these means. So we already know right here, looking at mode 6, we know what cylinder we're looking at, and how many test counts of misfires we have. 0. So control unit is count, value 0, so we can tell that we don't have any recorded misfires just by looking at that. So if you're looking for something relatively inexpensive that does quite a bit, this is a good choice. Pretty much the only thing it's not going to do is a lot of the bi-directional controls, but you're going to pay a lot more for something like that. I would look into the Launch X431 if you're looking for some bi-directionals. You can get a small version, which is actually smaller than this. The screen, I think, is a little bit bigger, but the unit is smaller, and it will do bi-directional. So if you're trying to decide between this one and the X431, that's going to be your deciding point. If you need bi-directional controls, I'd go with the X431, versus if you don't, or if you're trying to save money, this I believe would be the next best thing. That's going to be the 129E, CRP129E. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Happy quarantines. Stay safe out there, and fix your cars at home. Try to avoid contact with people. Do all those other good things. And we will see you in the next one.